In a world that constantly demands more success, more connections, more noise, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. But what if improving your life wasn't about adding more, but about quietly letting go of the things that no longer serve you? What if, by eliminating the unnecessary, you could create space for clarity, peace, and purpose? In this episode, we'll explore 10 things you should quietly eliminate from your life to live with more intention and inner calm. Inspired by the principles of Stoicism, these are practical, actionable changes that don't require dramatic announcements or external validation. Instead, they focus on a quiet, personal transformation, removing the mental, emotional, and physical clutter that weighs you down. You'll learn how to let go of the fear of others' opinions, break free from toxic relationships, release the need for control, and silence the constant digital noise. These aren't just surface-level changes. They're deep shifts in mindset and behavior that can lead to a life of greater freedom, self-respect, and contentment. By the end of this episode, you'll have a roadmap to quietly eliminate what's holding you back and focus on what truly matters. Because sometimes the most profound transformations happen in silence. Let's begin. Number 1. Overcoming the fear of others' opinions. How much of your life have you spent adjusting your actions, your words, or even your dreams because of what others might think? It's a subtle fear, one that creeps in without you even noticing. You hesitate to share your ideas, second-guess your decisions, or hold back from stepping outside your comfort zone, all because of an imagined judgment from others. Over time, this fear doesn't just shape your actions, it shapes your identity. It makes you live a smaller, quieter version of your life, where your choices are dictated by external approval rather than personal fulfillment. But here's the truth that most of us forget. People aren't thinking about you nearly as much as you think they are. Everyone is wrapped up in their own worries, insecurities, and lives. The fear of others' opinions thrives on the illusion that everyone is watching you closely, ready to judge your every move. But the reality is, most people are too busy dealing with their own issues to give your actions more than a passing thought. Even if someone does judge you, so what? Ask yourself, what real impact does their opinion have on my life? Most of the time, the answer is none. Their thoughts don't pay your bills, build your dreams, or live your experiences. Once you realize this, you begin to understand that the weight you've been giving to others' opinions is entirely optional. You've been carrying a burden you can set down at any moment. Stoicism offers a powerful perspective on this. Epictetus, a Stoic philosopher, taught that we should focus solely on what is within our control, our own thoughts, actions, and attitudes. You cannot control how others perceive you, but you can control how much you let their opinions influence you. He famously said, "If you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." This isn't about embracing ignorance. It's about accepting that personal growth often comes with discomfort, including the discomfort of being misunderstood or judged. Now, how do you begin to let go of this fear in practice? Start by recognizing when it's happening. The next time you hesitate to take an action because you're worried about what someone might think, pause and ask yourself, am I acting in line with my values, or am I acting out of fear? If it's fear, challenge it. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen? In most cases, the worst-case scenario is far less catastrophic than your mind makes it out to be. Here's a simple exercise to build your resilience against the fear of judgment. Start small. Begin by doing something slightly outside your comfort zone, something you'd usually avoid because of fear of judgment. It could be sharing an idea in a meeting, posting something personal online, or trying a new style of clothing. Each time you push through the fear and act anyway, you train your mind to care less about external validation and more about internal alignment. Over time, you'll notice that what once felt terrifying now feels empowering. It's also helpful to surround yourself with people who support your growth rather than stifle it. Toxic environments, where judgment and criticism are constant, can magnify your fear. Seek out those who encourage you to be yourself, who value your authenticity more than your conformity. And remember, even in supportive environments, the ultimate goal isn't to avoid judgment altogether. It's to build enough inner strength that external opinions no longer control you. The fear of others' opinions is deeply rooted in our desire to belong, to be accepted. That's a natural human instinct. But when it starts dictating your life, it becomes a problem. Belonging should come from mutual respect, not from suppressing who you are to fit in. True belonging happens when you show up as your authentic self, not a version of yourself designed to please others. Ask yourself this: at the end of my life, do I want to look back and realize I lived according to other people's expectations? Or do I want to say I lived true to myself? This question cuts through the noise and reminds you of what really matters. In the grand scheme of things, most of the judgments you fear today will be forgotten tomorrow. But the choices you make for yourself, those will stay with you forever. In the end, overcoming the fear of others' opinions isn't about ignoring the world around you. It's about putting your own voice at the center of your life. It's about valuing your happiness over external approval, your peace over public perception. When you begin to do that, you'll find that the world becomes quieter, your mind becomes clearer, and your path becomes entirely your own. Number 2. Cutting out toxic relationships. We've all heard the saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But what happens when some of those people drain your energy, undermine your confidence, or make you question your worth? Toxic relationships can be subtle. They don't always come with dramatic fights or obvious negativity. Sometimes they show up as persistent tension, subtle criticism, or one-sided connections where you're always giving and rarely receiving. The difficult truth is that toxic relationships silently erode your well-being. They create an emotional environment where you feel anxious, unappreciated, or even trapped. Over time, this can lead to decreased self-respect, reduced motivation, and even physical stress. Yet, many of us hold on to these relationships out of guilt, fear of confrontation, or simply because we've grown used to them. Cutting out toxic relationships doesn't mean you have to burn bridges or create unnecessary drama. In fact, one of the most powerful ways to eliminate these draining connections is to do so quietly and intentionally. You don't need to make a grand announcement or justify your actions to anyone. Simply start by distancing yourself gradually. Spend less time with those who bring negativity into your life and invest more time in people who uplift and support you. But how do you recognize a toxic relationship? Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with someone. Do you leave feeling drained, anxious, or small? Do you feel like you're walking on eggshells, constantly trying to avoid conflict or disapproval? If the answer is yes, that relationship may be doing more harm than good. Healthy relationships should leave you feeling energized, supported, and accepted for who you are, not emotionally exhausted. Stoicism teaches us the importance of maintaining inner peace by controlling what we can. Epictetus said, "The key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. This doesn't mean cutting people out of your life at the first sign of difficulty. It means setting boundaries with those who consistently bring negativity or chaos into your life. Setting boundaries is an essential step in quietly eliminating toxic relationships. Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about protecting your peace. They allow you to interact with others without sacrificing your well-being. For example, if you have a friend who always brings drama into your life, you might choose to limit how often you engage with them or steer conversations away from topics that cause tension. It's also important to remember that some toxic relationships can be transformed through open communication. Not all difficult relationships are irredeemable. Sometimes, honest conversations about how you feel can lead to growth and change. However, if you've tried this and nothing improves, it's okay to let go. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to prioritize your mental and emotional health. Here's something practical you can do. Make a list of the people in your life who consistently uplift you and those who drain you. Once you've identified the draining relationships, ask yourself, can this relationship be improved through communication, or is it time to create some distance? Then, take one small action, whether it's limiting time spent with them or setting a boundary, to protect your well-being. Ask yourself, am I holding on to relationships out of habit, or because they truly add value to my life? If it's the former, start letting go quietly. You don't need permission or approval to protect your peace. You owe it to yourself to create an environment that supports your growth, not one that holds you back. Remember, cutting out toxic relationships isn't about being harsh. It's about being kind to yourself. By eliminating these draining connections, you free up space for healthier relationships and a more peaceful, fulfilling life. True self-respect comes from surrounding yourself with people who see your worth and help you become the best version of yourself. Number 3. Breaking free from destructive habits. We all have habits that, on the surface, seem harmless, scrolling through social media late at night, procrastinating on important tasks, indulging in comfort food when stressed. But over time, these seemingly small behaviors can quietly chip away at your peace, productivity, and well-being. Destructive habits don't just waste time. They drain your energy, weaken your self-discipline, and prevent you from living the life you truly want. Breaking free from these habits starts with awareness. Many destructive habits operate on autopilot. You do them without thinking because they've become ingrained routines. The first step is to identify these patterns. Ask yourself, what habits leave me feeling worse afterward? Or, what behaviors are holding me back from progress? Once you bring these habits into conscious awareness, you can begin the process of eliminating them. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-mastery. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from controlling your desires and impulses rather than being controlled by them. Seneca once wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." This doesn't mean striving for perfection. It means striving for control over the things that lead to unnecessary suffering. One effective strategy for breaking destructive habits is replacement. Rather than simply trying to stop a habit, replace it with something positive. For example, if you find yourself mindlessly scrolling through your phone when you're bored, try picking up a book or going for a walk instead. The goal isn't to create a void, it's to fill that space with something that serves you better. Another key to breaking free from bad habits is starting small. Many people fail to change their habits because they aim too high, too fast. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire routine overnight, focus on making one small change at a time. If you're trying to cut back on late-night snacking, start by replacing just one unhealthy snack with something more nutritious. Over time, these small wins add up, building momentum and confidence. It's also important to practice self-compassion during this process. Breaking destructive habits isn't easy, and there will be moments when you slip up. Instead of beating yourself up, treat those moments as learning opportunities. Ask yourself, what triggered this behavior, and how can I handle it differently next time? The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to make consistent progress toward a healthier, more intentional life. Here's a practical exercise. Pick one habit you want to change. For the next week, focus on replacing that habit with something more positive. Track your progress each day, and at the end of the week, reflect on how you feel. Did the change make you feel more in control, more at peace, or more productive? Use these reflections to keep improving. Ask yourself, am I controlling my habits, or are my habits controlling me? If it's the latter, remind yourself that you have the power to change. Every small step you take toward eliminating destructive habits is a step toward greater freedom and self-respect. Remember, your habits shape your life. By quietly eliminating the ones that no longer serve you, you create space for better routines, ones that support your growth, boost your well-being, and help you become the person you want to be. True progress isn't about grand gestures. It's about small, consistent actions that lead to lasting change. Number 4, letting go of the need to control everything. How often do you find yourself trying to control every detail of your life, whether it's your job, your relationships, or even the outcome of situations that are beyond your reach? The desire for control is deeply rooted in the human mind. It gives us a sense of safety and predictability. But here's the paradox. The more you try to control everything, the more stressed and anxious you become. Life is unpredictable, and clinging to the illusion of control only leads to frustration when things don't go as planned. Letting go of the need to control everything doesn't mean becoming passive or indifferent. It means focusing on what you can control and releasing what you can't. This principle is at the heart of Stoic philosophy. Epictetus famously said, "Some things are up to us, and some things are not." The Stoics taught that we should direct our energy toward controlling our thoughts, actions, and reactions, while accepting the uncertainty of external events. Imagine this. You're stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. You can't control the traffic, but you can control how you react to it. You could get angry, honk your horn, and stress yourself out. Or you could take a deep breath, accept the situation, and use the time to listen to a podcast or reflect on your day. The outcome remains the same, but your experience changes dramatically based on where you choose to focus your energy. Letting go of control requires a mindset shift from resisting uncertainty to embracing it. Start by acknowledging that uncertainty is a natural part of life, and no amount of worry or over-planning can eliminate it. When you accept that not everything is within your control, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and create space for peace of mind. Another way to let go of control is by practicing detachment from outcomes. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about what happens. It means doing your best in any given situation, and then letting go of the need for a specific result. For example, if you're working on a project, focus on putting in your best effort rather than obsessing over whether it will be praised or criticized. By detaching from the outcome, you reduce anxiety and stay grounded in the present. Here's something practical you can do. When you catch yourself feeling stressed because things aren't going as planned, Pause and ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is yes, take action. If the answer is no, practice letting go by reminding yourself, I can't control this, but I can control how I respond to it. Over time, this habit will help you stay calm in the face of uncertainty. It's also helpful to practice mindfulness. When you're fully present in the moment, you're less likely to worry about things beyond your control. Try simple mindfulness exercises, like focusing on your breath for a few minutes or observing your surroundings without judgment. These practices help train your mind to stay in the present and reduce the urge to control everything. Ask yourself, am I exhausting myself by trying to control what's out of my hands? If so, start small. Begin by letting go of one thing today, whether it's the outcome of a conversation, someone else's opinion, or a minor inconvenience. Notice how it feels to release that burden, even if only for a moment. Remember, letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing peace over anxiety, acceptance over resistance. Life will always have its uncertainties, but by focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and attitude, you reclaim your energy and free yourself from the constant struggle. In that freedom, you'll find clarity, strength, and a calm mind, ready to face whatever comes next. Number 5. Releasing unrealistic expectations. Unrealistic expectations are silent saboteurs. They create a constant gap between what you hope life will be and what life actually is. Whether it's expecting people to always meet your standards, assuming that success should come quickly, or believing that everything should go smoothly without setbacks. Unrealistic expectations breed disappointment, frustration, and unnecessary stress. At some point, we've all fallen into this trap. Maybe you expected a friend to act a certain way and felt hurt when they didn't. Or perhaps you set an overly ambitious goal and felt like a failure when progress didn't come as fast as you hoped. The problem with unrealistic expectations isn't that we have goals or desires. It's that we attach ourselves too tightly to a specific outcome and forget that life is unpredictable. Stoicism teaches us to approach life with realism and flexibility. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." In other words, you can't control how life unfolds, but you can control how you respond when things don't go as planned. By letting go of rigid expectations, you open yourself up to experiencing life as it is, not as you wish it to be. One common source of unrealistic expectations is perfectionism. Many people set impossibly high standards for themselves, expecting to excel at everything without room for error. But perfection isn't achievable. It's a moving target that always leaves you feeling like you're not enough. Letting go of perfectionism means embracing progress over perfection and allowing yourself to learn and grow through mistakes. Another type of unrealistic expectation comes from how we view others. Expecting people to always understand us, agree with us, or behave according to our ideals sets us up for disappointment. The reality is, people are flawed, just like we are. They have their own perspectives, struggles, and limitations. Instead of expecting perfection from others, practice acceptance and empathy. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means recognizing that everyone is on their own journey, and not everything will align with your expectations. Here's how to start releasing unrealistic expectations. 1. Identify where your expectations might be too high. Are you expecting instant results in an area that requires patience? Are you holding others to standards that are difficult to meet? Once you've identified these expectations, Ask yourself whether they're realistic or whether they're causing unnecessary stress. 2. Shift your mindset toward flexibility. Instead of expecting things to go perfectly, prepare for different outcomes. This doesn't mean lowering your standards. It means being open to the reality that life is full of surprises and things might not always go according to plan. Here's a practical exercise. Think about an area in your life where you've been feeling frustrated. Ask yourself, am I frustrated because I had an unrealistic expectation? If so, take a deep breath and try reframing your expectation. Instead of expecting everything to go perfectly, focus on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, and your response. Ask yourself, am I holding on to expectations that are making me unhappy? If the answer is yes, remind yourself that letting go of unrealistic expectations doesn't mean giving up. It means freeing yourself from unnecessary stress and disappointment. You can still strive for great things while being flexible about how and when they happen. Remember, life rarely unfolds exactly as we expect. By releasing unrealistic expectations, you create space for acceptance, gratitude, and peace. You stop fighting against reality and start flowing with it, allowing yourself to find joy in progress rather than perfection. In that mindset, even when things don't go according to plan, you can remain grounded, resilient, and focused on what truly matters. Number 6. Letting go of the need to always be right. Have you ever found yourself in a heated argument, unable to let go because you felt the need to prove you were right? Many of us have. The desire to always be right can feel like a quest for truth, but in reality, it's often a quest for ego validation. When we attach our self-worth to being right, we create unnecessary tension in our relationships, increase our stress levels, and lose sight of what truly matters: peace of mind. The problem with always needing to be right is that it turns every disagreement into a battle. Instead of seeking understanding, we focus on winning. This not only damages relationships, but also drains emotional energy. The irony is, even when we do win the argument, the victory often feels hollow because it came at the cost of harmony and respect. Letting go of the need to always be right doesn't mean you stop standing up for what you believe in. It means choosing your battles wisely and learning when to prioritize peace over pride. Not every disagreement needs to end with a clear winner. Sometimes, simply agreeing to disagree is the wisest and most respectful choice. Stoicism offers a timeless lesson on this. Epictetus taught, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." The Stoics believed that true wisdom comes from humility, the willingness to listen, to learn, and to admit when you might be wrong. When you release the need to always be right, you open yourself up to new perspectives and personal growth. Here's something to consider. The people we respect most aren't those who dominate every conversation or insist on having the last word. They're the ones who listen deeply, acknowledge different viewpoints, and respond thoughtfully. Being right may feel good in the moment, but being kind and understanding creates lasting respect and trust. One practical way to start letting go of this need is by practicing active listening. The next time you find yourself in a disagreement, instead of immediately jumping in to prove your point, pause and truly listen to what the other person is saying. Ask yourself, am I listening to understand, or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? By shifting your focus from winning the argument to understanding the other person, you create space for a more meaningful and respectful conversation. Another helpful practice is to ask yourself, is this worth my peace? Not every disagreement is worth the emotional energy it takes to argue. If it's a minor issue, or something that won't matter in the long run, it might be better to let it go. Prioritizing your inner peace over being right isn't weakness, it's strength. It shows that you value your well-being more than temporary ego satisfaction. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you catch yourself in a disagreement, pause and ask yourself, do I need to be right, or do I want to understand? If the need to be right is driving you, try stepping back and focusing on understanding instead. Notice how it changes the dynamic of the conversation and how you feel afterward. Ask yourself, am I sacrificing my peace just to prove a point? If the answer is yes, remember that letting go of the need to be right isn't about losing. It's about choosing a better outcome: harmony, respect, and emotional well-being. In the end, letting go of the need to always be right allows you to live with less stress, better relationships, and greater inner peace. It frees you from the exhausting cycle of constantly defending your ego and helps you focus on what truly matters: growth, understanding, and genuine connection with others. When you prioritize these over being right, you don't just win the argument, you win back your peace of mind. Number 7. Silencing the digital noise. In today's world, it's nearly impossible to escape the constant flood of notifications, messages, and updates. Every beep, buzz, and alert demands your attention, pulling you away from what truly matters. While technology has brought countless conveniences, it has also created digital noise that can clutter your mind, drain your energy, and leave you feeling perpetually distracted. If left unchecked, this constant noise can contribute to stress, anxiety, and a sense of disconnection from yourself. The problem with digital noise is that it doesn't just consume your time, it consumes your mental space. When you're constantly plugged in, your mind never gets a chance to rest. You might think you're staying informed or connected, but in reality, you're overstimulating your brain and reducing your ability to focus, reflect, and be present in the moment. Silencing the digital noise doesn't mean giving up technology altogether. It means setting boundaries that allow you to use technology intentionally, rather than letting it control you. Start by identifying where most of your digital noise comes from. Is it endless scrolling through social media, constant email alerts, group chats that never seem to end? Once you pinpoint the main sources, you can take steps to reduce their impact. One effective strategy is decluttering your digital environment. Unfollow accounts that don't add value to your life, unsubscribe from unnecessary email lists, and turn off non-essential notifications. Every small step you take to reduce the noise creates more mental space for clarity and calm. Another powerful practice is to introduce tech-free moments into your day. For example, start your morning without checking your phone for the first 30 minutes. Use that time to meditate, journal, or simply enjoy a quiet moment to yourself. Similarly, set a time in the evening when you put your devices away and wind down without screens. These small changes can have a profound impact on your mental well-being. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of focusing on what you can control. In a world where digital distractions are everywhere, you may not be able to eliminate them entirely, but you can control how much you engage with them. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Applying this wisdom to the digital age means taking charge of your attention and guarding it as a precious resource. Here's something practical you can try. Set specific times during the day when you'll check your phone or email, rather than responding to every alert as it comes in. Use features like Do Not Disturb or app limits to help you stay disciplined. You'll be surprised at how much more focused and present you feel when you're not constantly reacting to digital interruptions. Ask yourself, am I using technology intentionally, or is it using me? If you find that you're spending more time consuming meaningless content than engaging in meaningful activities, it's time to reset your relationship with technology. Remember, silencing the digital noise isn't about disconnecting from the world. It's about reconnecting with yourself. When you reduce the constant distractions, you create space for deeper focus, richer conversations, and greater peace of mind. In a world that's always on, learning to step back, be still, and choose what deserves your attention is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. And number 8, transforming negative thoughts into positive ones. Negative thoughts have a sneaky way of taking over your mind. They often start small, self-doubt, worry, or criticism, but if left unchecked, they can grow into a persistent mental loop that drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and makes life feel heavier than it actually is. The truth is, your thoughts shape your reality, and if you're constantly feeding your mind with negativity, it's no surprise that you end up feeling anxious, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. Stoicism teaches us that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and respond to it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This means that by changing the way you think, you can change how you experience life. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones isn't about ignoring reality or forcing fake optimism. It's about learning to recognize harmful thought patterns and consciously replacing them with more constructive ones. The first step in transforming negative thoughts is awareness. Many people don't even realize how often they engage in negative self-talk because it has become a habit. Start by paying attention to your inner dialogue. When you notice a negative thought, don't judge yourself, just acknowledge it. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me, or is it holding me back? This simple question creates enough distance to prevent the thought from controlling you. Next, practice reframing. Reframing is about looking at a situation from a different, more empowering perspective. For example, if you catch yourself thinking, "I always mess things up," reframe it as, "I made a mistake, but I can learn from it and improve." This shift doesn't deny the mistake. It simply puts it in a more constructive light, turning it into an opportunity for growth rather than a source of self-criticism. Another powerful tool is gratitude. Negative thoughts often focus on what's missing or what's going wrong. Practicing gratitude helps shift your focus to what's already present and going well. When you feel overwhelmed by negative thoughts, pause and list 3 things you're grateful for in that moment. It could be as simple as having a roof over your head, a supportive friend, or the opportunity to learn something new. Gratitude doesn't erase challenges, but it balances your perspective and helps you see life more clearly. It's also important to surround yourself with positive influences. The people you spend time with and the content you consume can significantly impact your mindset. If you're constantly exposed to negativity, it's harder to maintain a positive outlook. Seek out friends, mentors, and communities that uplift you. Fill your mind with books, podcasts, and conversations that inspire and motivate you. Over time, this positive environment reinforces healthier thought patterns. Here's a practical exercise. The next time you find yourself stuck in a negative thought loop, take a deep breath and ask, is this thought based on facts, or is it just fear or assumption? If it's the latter, challenge it. Replace it with a thought that's more balanced and helpful. For example, if you're thinking, "I'll never succeed," reframe it as, "Success takes time," and every step I take brings me closer. Ask yourself, am I feeding my mind with thoughts that build me up or tear me down? If it's the latter, commit to changing the narrative. Remember, you can't always control the first thought that pops into your mind, but you can control whether you dwell on it or replace it with something better. Transforming negative thoughts into positive ones isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing a mindset that empowers you rather than limits you. Over time, this practice rewires your brain, helping you become more resilient, optimistic, and in control of your inner world. When you master your thoughts, you master your life. Number 9. Clearing physical and mental clutter. Have you ever noticed how a cluttered environment can make your mind feel chaotic and overwhelmed? Clutter, whether it's physical mess around you or mental baggage weighing you down, creates noise in your life. It drains your energy, distracts your focus, and makes it harder to feel calm and centered. That's why clearing both physical and mental clutter is essential for creating a space where clarity and peace can thrive. Let's start with physical clutter. When your living or working space is messy, your brain has to process all that visual information, even if you're not consciously aware of it. This constant sensory input can increase stress and reduce your ability to concentrate. The solution isn't just about tidying up for the sake of appearance. It's about creating an environment that supports your well-being. Start by decluttering one small area, like your desk or a single drawer. As you clear the physical space, you'll likely notice a sense of relief and mental lightness that follows. Clearing physical clutter isn't about perfection. It's about intentionality. Ask yourself, do the things in my space add value to my life, or are they just taking up space? If something doesn't serve a purpose or bring you joy, consider letting it go. The goal is to surround yourself with items that uplift you, not overwhelm you. Now let's talk about mental clutter. This can take the form of racing thoughts, unaddressed emotions, or unfinished tasks weighing on your mind. Mental clutter often arises when we're juggling too many things at once or holding on to unresolved issues. The Stoics believed in simplifying life by focusing only on what truly matters. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." Clearing mental clutter is about letting go of unnecessary worries and distractions so you can focus your energy on what truly matters. One effective way to clear mental clutter is through journaling. Take a few minutes each day to write down your thoughts, worries, and to-do lists. Putting things on paper helps free your mind from having to hold on to everything. You can also use journaling to reflect on what's been weighing you down and identify actionable steps to address those concerns. Another strategy is mindful prioritization. Often, mental clutter comes from trying to do too many things at once. Instead of scattering your energy across multiple tasks, focus on the most important ones. Each morning, make a short list of your top 3 priorities for the day. By simplifying your focus, you reduce overwhelm and increase your sense of accomplishment. Here's something practical you can do. Pick one small area in your home to declutter today, whether it's a shelf, a corner of your room, or your workspace. As you clear the physical space, notice how it makes you feel mentally. Then, take 5 minutes to write down any thoughts or worries cluttering your mind. This practice of clearing both physical and mental clutter helps create a sense of calm and control. Ask yourself, am I holding on to things, physically or mentally, that no longer serve me? If the answer is yes, start letting go. Clearing clutter doesn't mean getting rid of everything. It means making space for what truly matters. Remember, clutter, whether it's around you or within you, creates unnecessary noise in your life. By quietly eliminating what no longer serves you, you create room for clarity, focus, and peace. Life becomes simpler, lighter, and more intentional. And in that simplicity, you'll find greater freedom and a deeper sense of calm. Number 10. Escaping the trap of unnecessary comparisons. In a world where social media constantly showcases the highlight reels of other people's lives, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others. You see someone's promotion, new relationship, or exotic vacation, and suddenly your life feels less exciting, less accomplished, and less worthy. But here's the truth. Comparison is a trap that robs you of joy and self-worth, and escaping it is essential for living a content, fulfilling life. The problem with unnecessary comparisons is that they're often based on incomplete information. You're comparing your full reality, your struggles, insecurities, and everyday moments, with someone else's carefully curated moments of success. This distorted perspective makes it impossible to make a fair comparison, yet it can leave you feeling inadequate and stuck in a cycle of self-doubt. The Stoics had a powerful approach to dealing with comparison. Instead of measuring your progress against others, they believed in comparing yourself only to your past self. Seneca advised, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." In other words, the only comparison that truly matters is how far you've come on your own journey. Progress isn't about outpacing others, it's about becoming a better version of yourself each day. Escaping the comparison trap starts with shifting your focus inward. Ask yourself, what are my values, and am I living according to them? When you focus on what truly matters to you, rather than chasing external markers of success, you stop being influenced by other people's lives. You begin to measure success on your own terms, based on your personal growth and fulfillment. Another way to break free from unnecessary comparisons is to practice gratitude. When you're constantly comparing yourself to others, your mind fixates on what's missing in your life. Gratitude shifts your focus to what's already present. Each day, take a moment to reflect on 3 things you're grateful for. They don't have to be big. Simple things like a good meal, a supportive friend, or a moment of peace can remind you of the abundance in your life. It's also important to limit your exposure to comparison triggers. If scrolling through social media leaves you feeling inadequate, take a step back. Unfollow accounts that make you feel like you're not enough, and spend more time engaging in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. Remember, you have control over what you consume, and curating a positive environment is key to maintaining your peace of mind. Here's something practical you can do. The next time you catch yourself comparing your life to someone else's, pause and ask, what's one thing I've accomplished recently that I'm proud of? This simple question helps redirect your focus back to your own progress and reinforces your sense of self-worth. Ask yourself, am I living according to my values, or am I trying to keep up with someone else's version of success? If it's the latter, remind yourself that everyone's journey is different. What works for someone else may not work for you, and that's okay. Your path is unique, and it deserves to be respected as such. Remember, comparison is a distraction. It pulls you away from appreciating your own journey and creates unnecessary stress. By letting go of the need to measure your life against others, you free yourself to focus on what truly matters, your personal growth, your happiness, and your unique path. In doing so, you'll find greater peace, fulfillment, and a renewed sense of purpose, free from the weight of unnecessary comparisons. Life isn't always about adding more. It's often about removing what no longer serves you. The things we hold on to, whether it's fear, toxic relationships, bad habits, or unrealistic expectations, quietly shape our lives. They drain our energy, limit our potential, and keep us from living with true clarity and peace. But when you begin to quietly eliminate these things, you create space for something greater: freedom, fulfillment, and inner strength. This episode wasn't about drastic changes or loud declarations. It was about making quiet, intentional choices that lead to lasting transformation. It's about learning to let go of the fear of judgment, cutting ties with what drains your energy, and creating a life where your time, your mind, and your heart are filled with things that uplift you. By doing this, you begin to live according to your values, not the expectations of others. Letting go isn't easy. It takes courage to distance yourself from toxic relationships, discipline to break free from destructive habits, and self-awareness to release the need to control everything. But every small step you take, every quiet decision to eliminate what no longer serves you, brings you closer to a life of greater clarity, purpose, and peace. As Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The real power lies within you, not in changing the world around you, but in changing how you respond to it. When you stop trying to control what's beyond your reach and start focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude, you reclaim your life. Here's the truth. Transformation doesn't always have to be loud or visible to the world. Sometimes, the most profound changes happen in silence, in the quiet moments when you choose to let go of something holding you back. It's in those moments that you begin to build a life that reflects who you truly are. Stronger, calmer, and more focused on what truly matters. Ask yourself, what's one thing I can quietly eliminate from my life today? It could be a small habit, a negative thought, or even a toxic influence. Start small. Change doesn't have to be overwhelming. It can be gradual, steady, and intentional. Every little decision to let go brings you closer to living with more freedom, less stress, and a deeper sense of self-respect. Remember, you don't need to explain your journey to anyone. You don't need validation for the things you choose to release. This is your life, and your path is your own. What matters is that you're making progress, quiet, steady progress toward becoming the person you want to be. So, go forward with intention. Quietly let go of what no longer serves you, and watch as you create space for things that truly matter. Peace of mind, genuine connection, and a life aligned with your values. Thank you for listening. If this episode resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on what you've learned. And if you're ready to start quietly transforming your life, begin with one small change today. Remember, true transformation begins not with noise, but with quiet courage. Until next time, keep growing, keep letting go, and keep creating a life that feels truly yours. Stay strong, stay intentional, and most importantly, stay true to yourself.